Thank you, Chris, for the introduction. My name is Koppala. I run marketing at SheerID. Over the last few years, I've been fortunate to work with innovative marketers from leading brands like North Face, Nike, and Deezer. I am excited to have Yoav from Deezer join us today. We will talk to him about how they are acquiring and retaining paid subscribers. Welcome, Yoav.
Thank you. Very happy to be here over the screen.
Just to get started, because many of the our listeners may not be as familiar with Deezer, um, tell us a little bit about Deezer and your unique value proposition in the music industry.
Sure. So we're Deezer. We're one of the largest music streaming services in the world. And in music streaming, as the content is almost identical between the different platforms, there are differences, but they're minor. A couple of extra million songs here and there when you're looking at a library of 50 million songs is doesn't make the difference. Very different than the video streaming world. And so we differentiate differently. The first part of differentiating is through the product, but you can imagine that also the product is relatively similar, and there are differences and in the way that the music is curated and pushed to the user. But the big differences is actually in the philosophy of the company and how we're operating about the content that we have. And what we try to do in Deezer is understanding our customers and being as close to them as possible, which means we're trying to be as local as we can. We're operating on the ground in all of the markets that we're operating in, which is essentially everywhere in the world, with teams on the ground of human beings, not just computers, that are music experts that listen to the radio, that used to go to concerts. There's not so much concerts anymore, but we would go again, and that curate the music locally to really cater for the local taste. So we're not just trying to shove the local hits down everyone's throat, the global hits down everyone's throat around the world, and actually trying to understand the local taste and properly balance between local and global music, and really work together with the local artist and help champion the local culture and the local music. To present and curate and give each of our users a very personalized experience for the music that actually will resonate with him in that market, in that context that he's in, and not just a one size fit all music experience like some of our competitors are doing, and really taking it to the extra level with tying it together with our product, where we actually have in the product the ability to choose the market or that you want to be in. So even if I'm an expat in, Colombia, but I'm actually from Germany, then I will be able to tell Deezer, hey, I would much rather be immersed in the German experience, and then your product will shift to that and cater to knowing that you are a German in Colombia. So that's really the philosophy differences. We're trying to be as local as we can. We're trying to be as human as we can, which ties back to everything I said, to the product, to the marketing activities, to how we talk to our users.
Makes sense. You alluded to this. Given we are living through a pandemic, and we've seen a lot of none of the concerts, outdoor concerts, none of the stuff is happening right now. How has that impacted your industry in terms of subscriptions? Are you seeing them going up? What's happening?
Yeah, so I think there's a funny thing about entertainment, that on the one hand it is not considered necessary, but on the other hand, no one gives it up that easily. People still need to entertain themselves, and maybe even more so in times like this. So I have to say that overall the impact on the business, we've obviously been impacted less than airlines. But the big change that we see is less on our business KPIs and more on our user behaviors. So our business is relatively stable with or without COVID. There are changes, but they're minor. But what's really changed is how our users are interacting and behaving and how they're using our product. And the big shift that we had to do is actually understanding the new needs, because the needs have changed. There's no longer, long commutes in the morning that you are listening to a certain type of music in. There's not that big of a difference between the weekdays and the weekends anymore. And also the kind of content that the people are listening to and the way they're searching for music has changed. Much more lean forward, much less lean back. People know what they were searching for, specific things to help them in specific scenarios rather than specific genres, whether it's content for kids, for people who are stuck at home with their kids and need something to entertain their kids with, and whether it's workout from home or work from home, or all these types of scenarios that people are looking for right now. So really actively searching for specific mood-based or scenario-based music rather than the lean back experience that we had before. So we saw a surge in different types of content, and we see a very, very different behavior in terms of times of listening, length of sessions, different behavior in weekdays and weekends, etc., etc.
Got it. In terms of your business model, your business, of course, is a subscription business. You have you have a free offering, and then people subscribe to. Tell us more about your customer acquisition process of a paid subscriber. I know you are using essentially a personalized, a gated offer just for students, what we call identity marketing. Tell us more about what made you decide to target students as a category and why offer just for students.
Yeah, so as I said, we operate in a freemium model, so everyone is welcome, and we know music should be accessible to everyone, so you can just come into our product, on whatever device it is and listen. There are extra features that are only for paying customers, and we have different types of offers that we try to match to our users' behavior. So when a user comes in, he can start listening for free, and we try to understand what is his needs and present with him what the relevant offer that will be best suited for him. And there's different ways of understanding that. If a user is coming in and mostly listening to kids content, we might understand that he needs a family pack. And as I said, we also have a student offer that is specifically for students. This offer is very unique for a couple of reasons. Students, and the younger we go in the population, the more native they are to the products and the feature, which also, by the way, makes them the easiest for them to change. It's not that frightening for them to switch between providers as it might be for people who are less native with streaming. So that's why it's important to try to show them that we're willing to invest in them and that we're with them trying to create an offer that will take into consideration their situation, their students. They might not have steady income at the moment. But what we actually see with student is that they're one of the most engaged users that we have. They listen to much more music. They stay, their lifetime is very long. And this, there's a few reasons for that. One is that, well, they're students. They might have more times on their hand to listen to more music. And as we said, they are native to the platform or to this kind of platforms. So working, which ties back to our philosophy earlier, with understanding the user needs, where he is in the world and where he is at the moment in his life cycle, and offering him a product that is essentially the same as we're offering our full price paid, but just in a better financial terms or with a very big discount. For the course of their studies, helps us show them that we're willing to invest in them if they're willing to invest in us, and helps us capture these very high lifetime value customers, despite the fact that they're actually paying 50% than our full-time users, because they're so active, because they stay longer. It is worth our while.
So if I summarize it, one, your key target audience is students. So you are creating a compelling offer just for the students, right? 50% off. Now, once you have them on board, you know, in terms of, you've seen a significant retention, because even when they graduate to full price, because they have spent so much time on the platform, you tend to retain them going forward. And the third one is, this offer is only for students. So even though you're giving 50% off, really compelling offer, you're not cannibalizing your rest of the market, in the sense other full price users still continue to pay full price.
Yeah, working under the assumption that most students don't have a steady income and will not be willing to pay the full price. Most students are digital native and would find ways to listen to music if they can't find something in the price that's right for them. Then gatekeeping this offer to just students allows us to not really worry about cannibalizing our full price offer, and allowing them to join us with our best product, our premium product, and capture them, and they end up being very high LTV customers for us.
You know, one of the challenges in subscription business is retention, right? So you have got a paid subscriber. Tell us more about, you know, anything you can share in terms of what you're seeing in terms of retention between some of these audiences, like who are getting a gated offer versus who are not. Anything you can share?
Yeah. So for us in retention, essentially, the most important thing is to make sure that the user is actually using the product. No one would pay for a product that they're not using, even if they're paying 50% off. And we are very lucky in our industry that our product is catering, you know, the content that we're catering, our what we get from our suppliers is super cool. So we have a lot of content to talk to and to talk about with our users. And if we are able to really understand the culture references that the user is in, like we said before, and then the market and specialities, and then also really understand that specific user's behavior, what is he listening to, what he's not listening to, but we think he should, because users that like him are listening to. And then being able to generate that conversations with the users. Hey, you've noticed that you're listening to this, you might also like that. Oh, hey, this artist that you're listening to has a new release, check it out. Not as, you know, black box algorithmic sending communication to the user, but rather as a conversation from our expert that we said before, from our local editors, from our music experts to the users, with things that are really relevant for them, to get them to reconnect, to check out the new content. And again, this is something very different between video and music. Again, with video, you're always looking for new content. With music, you're actually not always looking for new content. A lot of your listening habits is actually, you know, your old favorites, and still listening to the things you listened to in high school. And so it's not just pushing new release all the time. It's, you need to create that comfort area for the users, reminding him also of your, you know, his favorites and his nostalgics and artists that he used to love before, have new additions. So it's sort of creating, again, that balance between global and local, but also between, you know, comfort zone music and exploration, discovery music, to make him feel comfortable with the product and know that he can always come and find the things he loves and everything is there, and also feel like it's innovating and helping him discover new things, and creating that conversation with our users, whether it's through, you know, algorithmic automatic messages that we're sending, but mostly through those manual communications that we're able to generate with our users, is key for us to create that stickiness, to create that retention. Now users come back, they listen to the music. As long as they're listening, they're staying with us, you know, listening to their favorite, discovering new things. Maybe they start listening to podcasts, maybe they start listening to audiobooks. We have new formats that they can discover, and sort of slowly growing their library with us. And the more obviously their library grows, the more likely they are to stay with us. And it's not just music, there's other aspects we're trying to develop with them. Obviously, it's the features that they're using, you know, using more of the product, whether it's more types of content, like we said, discover podcasts, discover audiobooks, but also the way they're listening, not just from your phone, start listening from your home devices, start listening from your, you know, Fitbit or smartwatch, whatever smartwatch you're using, onboarding your family to our family account and slowly upgrading you as well. So all of these new ways of listening is key for us for attention.
So, broadening what you just said to other industries where you have subscription businesses, the key is if your off product or experience can be made sticky or habitual, habit forming, then you can afford to, during acquisition phase, give really compelling offers so that you can retain significant part of them. And that's what we are seeing across a variety of subscription businesses we support is if the product is compelling, we are seeing, a lot of the brands willing to give a compelling offer upfront to get the consumer to come and try the product out because the retention is there, the lifetime value is there. And we are seeing, especially when you do it's all in the name of the game in the acquisition, all the conversion rates. What we are seeing is when you create an offer for a specific audience where you're celebrating that member's identity, we are seeing conversion rates anywhere from 2 to 4x. And that's the key thing, right? Of course, there are several factors here. It has to be a really compelling offer. And the product also should be follow up on the promise, because then you get the retention piece and the word of mouth, the broader word of mouth.
And I feel comfortable saying this because I was a Deezer user before I was a Deezer employee. And so I'm comfortable saying this, that we're confident about our product. I mean, I obviously think we have the best product in the market, as I said, because I was a user way before I started actually working here. And so yes, in a lot of markets, we're giving, a few months for free up front because we're confident that once you'll try it out, you'll see the value and will stay with us.
Great. Thank you. This has been really valuable. One last question. We have a lot of marketers who listen to this and say, this is great. Hey, for my subscription business, maybe I should think about rethink how I acquire instead of just giving a broad offer to everybody. Maybe there's a target audience I want to go after and give a really compelling offer. Now, like any new idea, when you take that idea, you have to get a broader support within an organization to get going. Any advice you have for marketers, how you can, take an idea like this and make it real? Any advice you have when you're taking a new campaign or a new thing like this, identity marketing, how do you rally troops within an organization? Any tips you can share?
Yeah, for me, and I've experienced this firsthand when we created the medical offer together earlier this year, is as long as the offer you're trying to create, the story you're trying to tell fits the story of the company and fits the brand purpose, what you're trying to do, then it's much, much easier to convince everyone. Because if you're telling the story and it feels natural, I mean, we're trying to be as human as possible, as local as possible, to support the local heroes in the music, work with the local artists, then yes, our local heroes now at the moment are also the medical personnel. And that story, feels natural when you're telling it. Then also when you're telling it internally, it will be easier to rally the troops and actually develop it. But then actually also when you tell it externally to the users, it doesn't sound, far-fetched, and people won't raise their eyebrows. They're like, oh yeah, it makes sense, and will come in to try it out. So for me, the most important thing is make sure that you're true to who you are, to your brand, to your purpose, to your product, when you're creating these new offers, to not go too far of a leap without having the fundamentals in place in terms of your identity to support that.
Yeah. The other thing I found also is experiment and look at data, run one campaign and see how it works out, and use those results then to think about broader program. I know we're pretty much out of time here. Thank you, Yoav, for your insights on this, very valuable. And thank you for being a SheerID customer.
Thank you for having me, and listen to good music.
Hey, thank you both. Thank you for